Okay, this list is amazing. And I don't mean to make fun of the New York Times. They've been around since like 1851. They've gotten a lot right, but they've gotten things wrong as you would in like that 200 some year span. There's a list of the worst predictions made by the New York Times, and it is like, it's kind of funny now, obviously, with hindsight. Now, let me preface this. Obviously, we respect our reporters and people that work for media, but there are people who work for, like, certain publications that, like, they get a fun out of, like, pooping on people. For instance, I will never forget Jingle Ball is a concert that happens in December with my third Jingle Ball in Minneapolis. Lady Gaga opened the show. And this was like Just Dance had just hit the radio. And the doucher who wrote the review said, something named Lady Gaga opened the show, clear to say she will never be anything. And it's like, okay, you're an idiot.
That's
like,
funny.
One of the biggest pop stars of the last decade.
What you saying now, bruh?
Exactly. So some of the worst predictions ever made by the New York Times in 1985 about laptop computers. On the whole, people don't want to lug a computer with them to the beach or on a train when they'd rather spend time reading the sports or business sections of the newspaper. The real future of the laptop will remain in specialized niche markets because no matter how inexpensive the machine becomes and no matter how sophisticated the software, the average user will not be taking one along with them when they go fishing.
Right.
And now we have it literally in our pockets with our phones.
The next worst prediction by the New York Times on television in 1939. The problem with TV is that people must sit and keep their eyes glued on a screen. The average, but wait, it gets better. The average American family doesn't have the time for it. Which,
boy.
I mean,
again,
I kind of wish that were still true in some ways, but yeah.
The about the iPhone in 2006. Everyone's always asking me when Apple will come out with a cell phone. My answer is probably never.
Oh.
Fair. Well.
Here we are.
Yeah.
What, like 10 or 11, 12
But
phones later?
That one, too, it's like, that one I give less like room to because that 2006, like that's more modern day than 1939.
Yeah, that doesn't feel that long ago.
Yeah.
In 1936, New York Times says about a rocket will never be able to leave Earth's atmosphere.
Oh.
And did like 20 years later. On Twitter in 2007, which is also another like more recent one, New York Times said using Twitter for literate communication is about as likely as firing up a CB radio and hearing some guy recite the Iliad.
Oh my gosh.
Nice.
Now, whether the service can be made into sustainable business is quite unknown. I'm skeptical. Now, that part, at least, like Twitter's had a hard time making money, roughly.
I could see that.
But it is still used for communication. On Apple in 1996, a critic of New York Times says, whether they stand alone or are acquired, Apple as we know it is cooked. It's so classic. It's so sad. Now that
one's a good one.
That's too like I don't know. It's like when people leave reviews on Yelp, whereas like you think you're very special because you have a chance. I mean, everybody can do it, but like this guy also said in 2001 about the iPod. It's a nice feature for Macintosh users, but to the Windows community, it doesn't make any difference. Wouldn't you want to just ask this person?
Yeah,
like you've retracted this sentence, right? Like
yeah.
You've
what do you
gotten
think
off
now?
the high horse and done that because, again, I understand they've been around for a long time. It's like The Simpsons has made all these predictions. Like, yeah, they've been on the air for 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, they're bound to, like, something they said happened. But that was some of the worst predictions ever made by the New York Times. We can get that, ymsradio.com.